Welcome to European Railway issue number 40, the DVD magazine featuring the railways of mainland Europe. In this program, we travel to Dresden and feature mainline action just to the north of the city. A look at the busy rail routes east of Prague in the Czech Republic. We journey to Switzerland and study rural line railways around Meudon. A profile of train types to be seen on the main line to Dunkirk in northern France. A view of freight and passenger traffic in Poland. Class 1099s feature on our trip to Austria's Mariazellbahn. And finally, we survey German rail traffic on the route to the northwest of Ingolstadt. There are many standard gauge lines that radiate from the city of Dresden, forming connections with many other areas of eastern Germany. The railways in these parts have by and large been untouched by the sweeping modernization programs that have affected other areas of the country, and as a result retain a traditional feel in terms of their current day operations. In this section, we sample mainline activity to the north of the city, at the small town of Niederau. We begin with some serious diesel power as Blue Tiger number 250-007, one of 11 units currently working in Germany. Here it attacks the grade with a long train of loaded stone hoppers. Freight traffic appeared to be around 2 an hour in each direction. Here 145060 heads south with empty flat wagons. South of Dresden, the lines continue into the Czech Republic and form an important international freight corridor with the North German port of Hamburg. Heading north is 189014, a locomotive introduced to traffic on the 26th of September 2003. Stopping services are one train every hour in each direction. These are trains operating between Leipzig and Dresden. There is also a 2-hourly service to and from Elsterwerda. At present, Class 143 locomotives still dominate on local passenger services in the area. Number 251 heads south. The line here heads north up a long, gentle gradient out of the Elbe Valley. As a result, locomotives have to work hard, such as in this view of 185273 on a heavy train of concrete sleepers. There is an hourly intercity express service on the line. Here, the 1424 from Wiesbaden passes through the station at just before 7:45. This is 155131. Stopping services for Elsterwerda are generally formed of some of the older double-deck stock still in service. This is train EC 170 from Budapest to Berlin. These Eurocity services operate every 2 hours in each direction. Finally, Class 155 number 158 grinds its way up the grade with a northbound train of tank wagons. With a good amount of older traction still working in the area, this is a part of Germany that's well worth a visit. In this section, we travel to the Czech Republic, as we take a look at rail operations on two lines to the east of the country's capital city, Prague. The first is on a line that runs to the south, whilst the other, which is much busier, runs to Kolín and onwards to the east of the country. We begin at Řičany, about 10 kilometers to the south of the city. Almost all of the local commuter services in and around Prague are operated by the Class 451 and almost identical Class 452 electric units. The 451s date from between 1964 and 1968 and are now approaching 50 years old. Here, 451098 departs with the 0840 for Prague. A couple of minutes later, and this maintenance vehicle heads north. A total of 111 of these Class 892 units are in the Czech rail fleet. They are based on the ubiquitous Class 810 single-coach passenger rail cars. Locomotive-hauled trains are also common on this line. Here, 363131 heads south, with the 0820 from Prague to Tabor. (363.058), in a rather grubby condition, heads north with a local freight working. There are 51 Class 451 and 11 Class 452 units in operation. In this view, set number 102 arrives, forming the 0833 from Benešov to Prague. The rail lines around this part of the capital are often surrounded by high walls in order to reduce the sound of the trains, especially in the built-up areas, and can be frustrating for photographers. We are now at the station at Klučov, as 363064 heads east with the 1002 from Prague to Brno. In the opposite direction comes 150-202. The line here is busy enough to warrant the use of 3 tracks. This helps with the pathing requirements for intercity and freight trains, in between the frequent commuter stopping services. Local services on this line are in the hands of the Class 471 electric units. After 16 of the trains were built between 1997 and 2004, another 74 were ordered. with most now delivered and in everyday service. This is the 10:50 departure for Prague, which is seen on the 15th of April 2011. Freight traffic along this route was around 2 trains each hour, the frequent passenger services restricting the available paths to allow any more. This is 163007 heading this eastbound service at just before 10:30 in the morning. The new Class 380 electrics are now entering service. This is 380-003, seen heading the 1032 from Horní Lidec to Prague. Austrian Class 1216 Taurus electrics are also found on this route, mainly on through services to and from Vienna. This is 1216-210, one of a batch fitted with the Czech signalling equipment in their cabs. (363-111) is in charge of the 0822 from Brno. Intercity passenger services such as this were noted around 3 per hour in each direction. Just to the east of Porzicany, we see 471046 with the 1133 from Kolín. Slovakian-operated 350-019 hurries west, in charge of the 0525 from Budapest to Hamburg-Altona. Introduced into service in 2005, the 7 Italian-built Class 680 Pendolino train sets operate fast expresses from Prague to the east of the country. This is set number 680002. Without doubt, the Czech Republic has more locomotive and rolling stock liveries to be seen than most other countries in Europe. Here, 363119 heads the 1202 service from Prague to Brno. Class 130 electrics date from 1977 and are based at CZECH REPUBLIC, where they work freight traffic in the central part of the country, as well as along this line to Prague. 130021 heads east. The station here at Porzicany is where the 3-track section from Prague reduces to 2 tracks. It is also the junction with the line up to Nymburk. This Class 471 unit departs for Kolín. Finally, 150-226 rounds the curve, heading the 1232 from Prague to Westetten. This is a busy line with constant activity and offers an excellent taste of the main intercity, local passenger and freight traffic to be seen in the country. In this section, we take a look at rural line activity around the picturesque fortress town of Meudon. The area lies on the boundary between the French-speaking region to the west and the German-speaking part to the east. There are a number of private and publicly operated lines that form routes linking the city of Bern in the east and Neuchâtel in the west, as well as to Fribourg in the south. We begin at Meudon on the 9th of February 2011 as SBB-operated Class 560 unit number 223 arrives with a service from Payerne. The Transport Public Fribourgeois operate a handful of units on its Fribourg to Neuchâtel service. Here, Class 567 number 171 arrives from the Fribourg direction. The other operator of passenger services is the BLS Railway, where modern electric units operate hourly shuttles to and from Bern via a change of direction at CZECH. If you choose to visit this area, then a tour of the historic town of Meudon is highly recommended. You can walk along the ramparts between the fortress towers, where there are some exceptional views to be had. Surrounded by high walls, the fortress town is protected from modern development and retains much of its historic architecture. And it is not that far from the station, as can be seen here.
I would see the train station.
The town is a thriving tourist resort with plenty of shops and cafes tucked away in the narrow streets. The name of the town is derived from the Celtic word Muriduno, meaning lakeside fortress. It was first mentioned in history books in the year 515, and by 1013 had been recognized as a fortress town. A huge fire occurred in 1416, which destroyed most of the wooden buildings. Properties were then rebuilt using stone which formed the buildings that can be seen today. In 1476, the Battle of Meudon was fought between forces belonging to Charles the Bold, the Duke of Burgundy, and the Bernese army. Over 10,000 soldiers of the Burgundians were killed, and the town was saved from invasion. The battle is celebrated each year on the 22nd of June. For the next 300 years, the town was ruled by two cantons, Bern and Fribourg. In 1803, when it was part of the French Empire, Napoleon gave the town to the canton of Fribourg, which it remains part of to this day. Next to the town is the Meurthe, a lake roughly 8 kilometers long by 2 kilometers wide and 45 meters deep. It forms part of the Zeeland area and is the same height at nearby Lake Neuchâtel and Lake Biel. All three are linked by canals forming one giant reservoir and fed by the river Aar. We now leave Meurthe behind and travel north to the meter-gauge Aar-Zeeland Mobile line that runs into the town of Inns. Departing the station at Luschurz are a pair of Stadler-built Regioline units seen heading south for the town of Inns. This is the station at Inns, as we see one of TPF's two Class 567 units departing westbound, with the service for Neuchâtel. Not far away are the Jura Mountains, which on their northern slopes form the border with France. BLS generally operate Class 525 units on their services to and from Neuchâtel, supplemented by locomotive-hauled formations. There are occasional freight services that use these lines. On its way to CZECH is this SBB Class AE66 locomotive, number 610519. The station here has been modernized with new trackwork and platforms. The only older buildings remaining are the former goods shed and booking hall. Services on the ASM meter gauge network depart from the front of the station, such as this unit heading north to Biel. The BLS locomotive-hauled services are in the hands of Class 420 electrics. Here, 420502 heads a service for Bern. From the station platforms you can just see the distant Alpine mountain range. This train is seen departing from Merton with a service for Fribourg. The date is Thursday the 7th of April 2011. The signal box at CZECH has been preserved together with an original signal post and track. 4 lines meet here, with the track on the right continuing up to Biel and the one on the left to Neuchâtel. The main track layout is in the form of an enlarged double-slip crossover, which can be seen here, with the line on the left going to Bern and the one on the right running up to Merton. The BLS-operated trains join and split here on their way to and from Bern, the operation taking just a few minutes. Freight traffic does exist, although nothing compared to the volumes seen on the main lines. Here, 11643 heads this trainload of vans from Neuchâtel to Domdidier. Finally, we return to the station at Merton. (11643) has had to wait for the passenger train to clear the single track section before it could proceed. There are freight paths available every 2 hours on this route, but not all are used. TPF operate just 3 of these Class 537 units on their services to and from Fribourg, all of which date from 1983. Refurbished Class 560 unit number 204 is seen departing with a stopping service for Peine. There are hourly services on all lines out of Merton, with most connecting with each other within just a few minutes, so there are extensive time periods where no train movements take place. Finally, we see this BLS train departing north with a service for Bern. With some great historic towns to be seen in the area, together with an interesting rail system, the Merton area is perhaps one to add to any Swiss holiday itinerary. Northern France is a focal point for anyone travelling from the UK into mainland Europe, and so its railways are usually those first seen by British enthusiasts embarking on or returning from their journeys. In issue 38, we sampled traffic through the town of Asbruck, which offered a snapshot of train types to be seen in the area. We begin looking north, as this Class Z23 and Z24 500 combination head south. Freight traffic is mainly operated by Class 27,000 and 36,000 electrics. Here, 27150 heads south with a steel train from Dunkirk. The line sees regular local stopping services. Here, unit number 92052 heads north. Not far away is the main line to and from Calais. Heading south is this Class 27,000 on a trainload of empty car carriers. The date is Saturday the 24th of July 2010. With a leaden sky as a backdrop, one of the regular TGV services heads for Dunkirk. This is 36009, heading a trainload of coil bound for the steelworks around Charleroi in Belgium. A short time later, a set of empties heads north behind 36008. 27060 takes a trainload of finished cars towards Calais. During our 90-minute stopover, 2 freights were seen on the Calais line, with 3 on the route to Dunkirk. We now move to a point around 15 kilometers south of Dunkirk as we see BB 16500 number 641 on a northbound commuter service. When this picture was taken on Wednesday the 20th of April 2011, all regular diagrammed work for this type of locomotive had finished. This was the first working for the class for 11 days. Heading south is TGV set number 40, forming the 1801 departure from Dunkirk to Lille, Europe. Unit number 534 is seen around 30 minutes later with the 1836 service to Lille. Including freight, we logged 10 movements each hour on this stretch of railway line. This unit heads north towards the coast. (27064) rounds the corner with a southbound train of steel plate. Only 2 freights were seen in our 80-minute stopover. Just 6 units make up the Z92-050 fleet of double-deck trains. Interestingly, these units were built as recently as 1996, although they don't look that modern. Number 16641 returns, with its train bound for Laon. The remaining handful of operational locos now being used for emergency cover in case of the non-availability of the newer BB 25500s. Shortly after 7:15 in the evening, numbers 27042 and 073 double-head this train of iron ore hoppers. The last remaining locomotive-hauled passenger services on this line are operated by BB25 500s. Here, number 636 heads the 1745 from Lille. In this section we travel to Poland as we take a look at the trains and traffic to be seen on the main rail route south of Radom. Our filming locations are immediately south of Radom and then in the hilly area north of Kielce. We begin at Radom as Class EU07 number 304 is seen heading north, with the 0505 service from Krakow to Bydgoszcz. In the opposite direction we see one of the very common EN57 class of electric units. This one is forming the 0822 all-station stopping service to Skarżysko-Kamienie. Line speeds on most routes up and down the country are slow due to the state of the track, which in many places takes a heavy pounding from the freight trains that also use the routes. The main freight locomotives in the country are the Class ET41 double locomotives and the numerous ET22. Here, 41184 heads a loaded coal train north. These locomotives are essentially the freight version of the passenger type EU07s. Following shortly after is ET221026 on a coal train for the power station just north of the city, or about 20 kilometers from where we are filming. There are still just over 450 Class EU07s still in service from an original fleet of 544. With many now over 40 years old, a replacement class has now been talked about in the form of the new E4ACU, a triple voltage 5,600 kilowatt machine. It will be a few more years before we see serious reductions in the number of EU07s, but nonetheless, the writing is on the wall for these venerable locomotives. We now move south and to the Góry Świętokrzyski Hills, which rise to around 600 meters in height. EU 07368 is in charge of the 0830 from Lublin to Katowice. EU 07102 is in charge of this Wrocław to Lublin service. There are normally 2 passenger services each hour on this route. Here, EU 07103 heads south, past the manually operated level crossing, on the road which leads to the village of Klonów. Dropping down the grade is 1988 built ET221109 on a trainload of oil tank wagons, whilst number 665 heads the other way with a lengthy mixed freight. This is the station at Zagnansk, as 3-car electric unit number EN 571254 arrives with a local train from the north. As ET41189 disappears into the distance, Class ET22, number 063, heads in the opposite direction with a trainload of ballast. During our stay in the area, there were 3 freight trains seen each hour. A kilometre further north, and we see ET22981 attacking the grade with another northbound coal train. Our final scene shows ET41100 coasting down the grade with a set of coal empties. Poland still uses older electric classes for the majority of its services, and unlike countries in the west of Europe, hasn't spent money on upgrading its locomotive fleet. It is therefore a country which attracts many enthusiasts, keen to sample current-day operations before the tide of new investment finally arrives. The Mariazellerbahn is probably one of the best-known narrow-gauge lines in Austria, primarily due to the fact that it still uses locomotives and rolling stock now approaching their 100th year in traffic. In 2010, the state rail operator OBB handed the line over to the provincial government of Lower Austria. The new operator, Novog, has ordered 9 3-car electric multiple units from the manufacturer Stadler for introduction in December 2013. It is expected that most of the current rolling stock will then be replaced by the new trains, apart from 1 train retained for heritage services. Given this news, we thought it appropriate to revisit the line to sample current-day operations. Our filming took place on Sunday the 10th of April 2011, on the mountain section between the station at Laubenbachmühle and Mariazell. The long-stretched double horseshoe curve located here allows the railway to leave the Nattersbach Valley up to the station at Winterbach, some 183 metres higher. The Class 1099s were introduced onto the railway between 1911 and 1914, once electrification of the line was sufficiently advanced. The locomotives received new cabs and bodies in 1960. At weekends there are just 2 services diagrammed for the class, the other 2 being diesel-hauled, although these can still produce Class 1099s if a diesel is unavailable. Number 013 has been repainted into historic brown livery to match the stock of the main heritage train. Here the train arrives at Mitterbach. Four kilometers further on, and the train terminates at Mariazell. Here the locomotive runs around its stock, in readiness for the return 1655 departure. Number 11 is about to depart, with the 11:50 service for St. Pölten. The same train drops down the grade and around the corner as it arrives at Wienerbruck. As mentioned, two services are diagrammed for Class 2095 diesels. These throaty beasts date from 1958 and are very popular with enthusiasts visiting the line. Here 2095009 heads the 10:30 from St. Pölten. Upon arrival at Mariazell, the locomotive then works a return service to Gersing. This is the train arriving at Annaberg. Our final scene is from Laubenbachmühle, where we see 1099004 stabled with the stock for the early Monday morning departure for St. Pölten. This was meant to be a Class 2095 diesel work train, but on this day 1099001 is seen with the 1501 departure for Mariazell. Until the new electric multiple units arrive, this line will continue to offer the traveller 100-year-old locomotives and rolling stock, still in everyday service. Our final section comes once more from Germany, as we take a look at traffic on the main line that runs along the Altmühl River Valley through Treutlingen, before it makes its way down to Ingolstadt. The main traffic flow on the line is oil and chemical products to and from the various major factories dotted around Ingolstadt. Here, DB Railion Class 185s, numbers 296 and 192, head a typical northbound working through Pappenheim on the 20th of July 2010. Passenger services on this route are operated by Class 111 electrics based at München. Some of the tank trains are hauled by private operators, especially HGK, based in Köln. Here 145 CL12 heads north. The other main freight traffic to be seen are intermodals. Here 151049 passes through Solnhofen. On Sunday the 17th of April 2011, 111221 enters the station with a train for Nuremberg. These services run hourly in each direction. This is 152113. The Class 111s are expected to be replaced by new electric units over the next couple of years, and so at the moment are regarded as being on the endangered list. Here 024 heads south near Dollenstein. Freight traffic was noted about 2 per hour, although this can increase depending on the time of day. Heading north is HGK's 145 CL012, which is a regular performer on this route. Having just left the station at Dollenstein, number 111066 approaches through the heat haze. Rocky outcrops and a narrow river valley make this a favourite route for photographers. Express passenger trains are rare. In the summer evenings in 2010, it was possible to film this, the 1900 overnight train from München to Kubenhaven, seen headed by 101035. Sadly, this train no longer runs. Just east of Dollenstein, and we see 189930 heading this southbound intermodal. This is close to the point where the line starts its climb via a long incline out of the main river valley. And this is the top of the incline as 111024 heads north after the station stop at Edelschlag. Nearly at the top, 151023 passes the summit as it heads this southbound intermodal. For those interested in photography, there is about 10 kilometers of open countryside between here and the industrial center of Ingolstadt. The spring blossom adorns the trackside embankment as 111183 powers a northbound service away from Tauberfeld. At the other end of the station, 185572, which is currently leased to Rurtelbahn, heads north with another train of tank wagons from Ingolstadt. Finally, CB Rail-owned 185584, currently being operated by HGK, passes through Tauberfeld station at the head of a northbound set of empties. As the train passes, we hope once again that you have enjoyed watching this edition of European Railway.